Owning a Jack Russell Terrier can be one of the best joys of your life. Well, at least if you know what you're doing. In fact, many owners often make critical mistakes that could potentially lead to an unhappy, aggressive, confused, or even unpredictable Jack Russell. So here are 10 biggest mistakes you might be making with your JRT according to a real owner. Number 1. Don't assume your Jack Russell is trying to be the alpha. We've all heard the age-old advice on never letting your dog become dominant and assume the alpha. But let's be clear about one thing. Assertiveness and dominance are two different things. One of the most confusing traits of the Jack Russell Terrier is their assertiveness. Many owners and even experienced trainers think Jack Russells want to be the alpha of the pack, but that's not quite right. If you really understand them, it's more about them being really sure of what they want. However, in the world of dog behavior, dominance refers to being the leader of the family. Some dogs are naturally dominant and will attempt to act like the boss. Now, one of the worst things you can do is assume your terrier is dominant and proceed by enforcing dominant-based training techniques. Treating an assertive dog as a dominant dog may damage the relationship between you and the dog. It can lead to mistrust and confusion, making it that much harder to establish a positive and cooperative relationship between the two. Instead, you'll need to appreciate the unique traits of the assertive Jack Russell and tailor training methods accordingly. Number 2. Don't let your Jack Russell be unemployed. As you may already know, these dogs are highly energetic and active. So the worst thing you can be is that lazy owner who lets their Jack Russell become couch potatoes. Instead, what you want to do is give them a job. After all, most Jack Russells of the past were bred to have a job in hunting. Okay, I know what you're thinking. You don't go hunting, so what kind of jobs can you give your dog? Well, modern-day jobs for domesticated dogs are more like a routine exercise or activity. For example, if your JRT loves to play catch, make it an effort for them to consistently play 20 minutes of catch every day. They'll think of this as their job. In time, your JRT will be the one reminding you that it's time to play catch. However, it's worth noting that if you're not careful, your Jack Russell can even view chasing squirrels as their job. So you'll need to be very clear on what activities they should and shouldn't be doing. Number 3. Don't feed your JRT table scraps. It doesn't matter how cute your Jack Russell is. Don't give in to those puppy eyes and feed them your table scraps. All it takes is one time and your quiet, undisturbed meals at home are out the window. They'll whine, cry, and beg you for the delicious food on the table. And if they realize they can get what they want from this type of behavior, they'll continue to do it over and over again. After all, Jack Russell Terriers are highly intelligent dogs, and they'll make the connection fairly quick. Sure, these dogs have high metabolisms and may need a little more food than your average small dog, but giving them human food isn't the way to go. Our food just doesn't have the right balance of nutrients that a dog needs. Human foods may be high in calories, fat, or sugars, which can lead to obesity, upset stomachs, and other health issues in your JRT. And since we're on the topic of food for your dogs, here's how you can feed a meal to a rescue dog in just 2 seconds. All you need to do is hit the subscribe button, and I'll donate a meal on your behalf. Thanks for helping out. Number 4. Don't let your Jack Russell jump too much. If you didn't already know, Jack Russells have an insane vertical leap. According to owners, some can leap as high as 5 times its own height. That means a 12-inch tall JRT can easily jump 5 feet into the air. And trust me, these dogs will make any opportunity to show off their incredible hops because they're crazy athletic and they know it. Now, this may seem impressive when they're young pups, but you're potentially setting up your dog for some serious pain and uncomfort down the line. Typical dog jumping as they play with other dogs is perfectly fine, but it's really the constant jumping up and down on couches or beds that'll take a huge toll on your Jack's hips and joints. The important thing is to immediately stop this behavior. Hip dysplasia and arthritis can develop in your JRT if they continue to do this. Number 5. Don't be inconsistent with your JRT. Imagine this scenario. You're on a walk with your Jack Russell Terrier and you run into your dog's neighborhood friend strolling by. Of course, you make the exception to let your dog sniff around and say hello to his friend. They play for a minute, exchange licks, sniff each other's butts, and finally say their goodbyes. Now, the next day rolls around, but this time you're rushing home to catch the new episode of your favorite show. So when you run into the same neighborhood dog, you drag them away so you can quickly finish your walk. This type of inconsistent behavior will cause confusion and stress in your Jack Russell, and they'll hate that. Nearly all dogs love a good routine and consistency, and the JRT is no exception. If you feed them at roughly 10 a.m. every morning and walk them at 7 p.m. in the afternoon, it's best that you try to stay on schedule. There's a reason why they're called creatures of habit. Number 6. Don't let them get too comfortable on your furniture. Well, this is entirely up to you, but I would recommend not letting your Jack Russell get too comfortable with being on the furniture at will. Not only will this protect the hips and joints of your dog, but it'll also limit the visible fur on the couch or bed. And trust me, it'll be very noticeable if you have dark furniture. Instead, I suggest you train your JRT to learn that you and only you determine when it's okay for them to be on the bed, sofa, or even the dining table. And no, that last one's not a joke. These dogs will somehow make their way to the table, whether through their incredible leap or by using chairs as stairs. Can anyone relate? Number 7. Don't give praise right after discipline. When you tell your Jack Russell no, don't immediately follow the discipline with love, affection, or positive praises. And trust me, you'll probably be telling your JRT no plenty of times. Disciplining your Jack Russell may be the hardest thing to do, but the last thing you'll want to do is to confuse your dog with mixed emotions. Do you want them to do this behavior or not? Especially with how strong-willed and stubborn the JRT is, they need to know clear boundaries on certain behaviors. If you give them any mixed signals, they'll most likely ignore it and continue the behavior the next time around. Any future commands or corrections will simply be suggestions to your Jack Russell Terrier. So learning the difference between praise and discipline is essential for your dog. Without it, a JRT may become one of the worst dogs to own for many people. Number 8. Don't let them sleep outside. With how much these dogs shed, I can understand why some owners may want to turn their companions into outdoor dogs. However, you really shouldn't do this for multiple reasons. These dogs thrive on relationships and are happiest when they're with family. Although they're just a doorway away, letting them sleep outside can hurt your bond with the dog and ultimately lead to separation anxiety. But what may physically hurt your Jack Russell is the fact these dogs have short coats. This means they're not efficient at regulating their body temperature and will be susceptible to drastic temperature changes. Plus, Jack Russells are notorious escape artists. You may think your backyard is secure, but they're small dogs and can easily fit through any cracks or holes in your enclosed yard. And depending on where you live, there can be many potential predators lurking around at night. For example, coyotes won't play nice if they run into your 15-pound JRT. Number 9. Don't spoil your Jack Russell Terrier. With how adorable these dogs are, it's easy to spoil them with attention, treats, toys, and lifestyle choices. But this could, in fact, lead to problems down the line. You see, Jack Russells are crazy smart. If they know that something is possible for them to attain, they'll be super persistent until they get it. And because they're master manipulators, they know how to push you to your limit to get what they want. One JRT owner says, "Never spoil your Jack. If you give them a treat when they whine, they'll know that it works. And the next time, it'll be even harder to get them to give up. You'll need to set clear limits and boundaries with your dog." But it's not just with treats. It's possible to spoil them with attention too. If they cry for your attention and you immediately give it to them, the next time around, they won't stop until they have your attention. Moreover, a lack of socialization and obedience training would count to spoiling them too. Basic training and socialization is like the essential homework that these dogs need, and it's especially important for a JRT. However, just like with kids, you need to be firm on what they can and cannot have. Number 10. Don't get overly excited every time you see your JRT. It's easy to be filled with joy when you see your dog after a period of absence. When being reunited with you, your hyperactive Jack Russell may go crazy, run around, and jump, even jump on you. However, this creates a problem. By doing this, you're reinforcing the idea that it's a good thing when you come back and a bad thing when you leave. Sounds fine, right? Not exactly. This tends to lead to major separation anxiety in your Jack Russell Terrier because they understand that you leaving is bad. They'll whine, bark, and cry whenever you leave the house. What you want to do instead is to ignore your Jack Russell when you first reunite. Wait for them to calm down a bit before going over to say hi and give them praise or kisses. It may be the hardest thing ever to do, but it'll be better for your terrier in the long run. Hey, if you enjoyed this, you'll probably like this video on the Jack Russell. And if you hit subscribe, I'll donate one meal to a rescue dog on your behalf.